Hello and welcome. Today we are checking out one of the best playlists in the crew, Motorfest. This is made in Japan. So we kick off with beautiful cinematics to just get us set in the mindset that we are now traveling hypothetically to Japan. So they show us some beautiful imagery of some very iconic Japanese things, and that includes the beautiful Honda NSX. And to be honest with you, I'd sell my left kidney for one. So once we finish see that, we get sent on over to our first event. So when we travel on over, we meet the pack. Now this is supposed to be the people that introduce us to Japanese racing culture, and one thing I must say, the pack has some very iconic Japanese sports cars. So for the first event, we get chucked into a 2002 Honda NSX if I'm not mistaken, and we race around the Japanese section of the map. And honestly, it's such a stunning event. The handling model of the Honda NSX, it's beautiful, and it actually feels or gives off the impression of what the Honda would actually feel like to be behind the wheel of. Now I know it's an arcade game, so we aren't supposed to expect simulation handling, but each of these Japanese icons felt completely different. There was no time where I jumped in one and said, ah, this feels like everything else. That is not the case. So the first event, the Honda NSX. Now this event isn't extremely long, but what I must say, with the level of difficulty that you set on this race, well, it's really gonna affect your opinion on the event. If you set it extremely hard, well, it's gonna be exactly that, extremely hard. But if you set it to the lowest difficulty possible, you're not gonna enjoy it because it's gonna seem like such a cakewalk. At the settings I had it at, which was bang on in the middle, you had the right amount of competition from the AI. So I thought I was gonna be a bit cheeky and just get a shortcut, and I ended up driving into a building. Don't ask me how I did it, but let's just say if the insurance company asked, it jumped in front of me. So with that, I began to try and race back and climb positions, which I managed to do. However, I finished the event in 4th place. Now with the Made in Japan playlist, you need to finish in the top 3. If you don't, well, you aren't gonna progress. You need to restart, and that's exactly what I had to do. So if we fast forward, we see that I finished in 1st place. Such a fun event, and while driving you get some cringe moments of dialogue, but you actually learn a few fun facts about the car that you're driving. So after the NSX, we head on over to our second event. Now our second event threw us in what has to be one of the most iconic Japanese vehicles, the Nissan Skyline R34 GTR. If you are a JDM fanboy like myself, you are absolutely going nuts for this playlist. The way they had it set up was so perfect, and the events that they used for each vehicle was honestly so ideal. It was absolutely perfect. Now with the GTR, this event was a bit challenging, and actually I had to attempt to do it a couple of times because I just wasn't able to nail the GTR's handling. There was one specific section of the circuit where the GTR, well, where I just couldn't control the GTR. However the GTR, the sound on these vehicles are absolutely insane. The GTR sounds so good, especially if you have the other cars extremely close to you. You hear the engines of them as well, and you just have such a good time. Then the third event, we get put into a toge run, and this is another thing that I love about this playlist. The playlist offers such a diversity of events. It's not like consistent street racing. No, we had street racing, we had toge, and as you're gonna see coming up, we have drifting, drag racing. We just have a whole lot of unique style of races to really keep you on your toes and keep you awake when playing these events. So for the third event, it was a Mazda RX-7 against a Mazda MX-5, and when I tell you, I was actually struggling to keep up with the MX-5. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I was. The RX-7 slides out quite a bit, and I think it's because I was driving with like 90% of the assist off, and I ended up actually pulling a Need for Speed Carbon and sliding off a mountain. So no, I was not having a good time. So after that, I then had to drop the difficulty because I actually knew I wasn't going to be able to beat the Mazda any other way. So yes, I'm not afraid to admit it, I had to lower the difficulty, and that made the event super easy, and it felt super cheesy to actually do it that way. So down the line I'll probably attempt it again, but for now we got the win, we're gonna move on. So now after jumping out of it, after the tollgate run in the standard Mazda RX-7, we now jump to a drift event in a slightly upgraded, okay, let me not say slightly, a heavily upgraded Mazda RX-7 designed for drifting. So the drifting physics in this game, honestly, it doesn't take you long to actually pick up on how to drift. The cars in the Crew Motorfest, with it being an arcade game, are relatively chuckable. So to get a slide going on and to get the necessary points that you need, well, it's not really that difficult. I mean, okay, look, my difficulty was set extremely low, but with the target of 5,000 points, by the end of it, I got a total of 141. And the thing is, I wasn't even doing my best work. I was bouncing to walls, and I wasn't even having like the cleanest of runs. However, events when it comes to drifting in this game are fun. They are a bit challenging at times. So the drifting aspect of the Crew Motorfest is very similar to the drifting aspect of the Crew 2. So if you've done drifting in that game, well, you know how to drift in the Crew Motorfest. They haven't changed it in any way. It still feels very satisfying to actually get a long slide going, so I will give them that the drifting handling in the Crew Motorfest is still really good. So after the drift event, you go basically around the corner and you're chucked into a Nissan R34 GTR once again. However, this time it is set up for drag racing. So the drag racing, you aren't put head to head against an opponent. No, you just need to beat a specific time. So you need to nail your shifts, boost at the right moments, and set the fastest time possible. So with the target being a 13.5, you just need to beat that time, and honestly it's super easy. I ran times below 12 seconds. It's not difficult at all. So after the GTR drag racing, you get chucked into an Evo 10 final edition, and this car felt so big, it felt so boaty, it felt so solid compared to the other classic JDM vehicles. And as I said, that is something that the Crew Motorfest does extremely well, and that is making vehicles stand out from each other, making vehicles be unique. And the Evo 10 event was a street race around the streets, you know what I mean, decorated, was so beautiful and really just set the theme for the playlist. You knew that you are playing a Japanese style event, and this is why I understand why so many players, so many people out there want a racing game based in Japan, because with us getting a taste of it in the Crew Motorfest, it really just solidifies that opinion that we need a racing game based in Japan. It is honestly, if whichever company does it first, it's honestly gonna have such a massive advantage over everyone else. After this event with the Evo, we are then chucked into the Toyota Supra. That was actually the first ever car we drove in the Crew Motorfest. So we finally revisit the Toyota Supra, and it is so much fun. It is extremely fast, extremely responsive. The handling of it is really easy to pick up. It does like to slide, but it's easy to understand how the vehicle gets to slide, how to still get around corners fast, and how to just overall get the best performance out of your Toyota Supra, which is the best thing for it, because this is your Toyota Supra. once you complete the playlist, this Toyota Supra is now yours. You just need to head on over and collect that reward. So the Toyota Supra, the Mark IV Supra, was a perfect ending to this whole playlist. And overall, if I had to give this playlist a rating, I'm gonna say it's gonna be a solid 9 out of 10. I'm not gonna say it's perfect, but it's almost there. It is really up there. And if you haven't played the Crew Motorfest yet, or you're still getting it, trust me, you need to play this playlist as soon as possible, but not before the playlist on screen. So if you guys do go on to enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more of the Crew Motorfest content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.